See, over the past few months, I scaled my online marketing agency to over $150,000 in just a few months. Now, webinar is cool because instead of selling one-to-one, you now have the opportunity to sell one-to-many. In my first webinar, I actually got 16 sales at $97 per month. And that was kind of like a light bulb moment. I'm like, there's something to this. One of the biggest things that's going to kill your sales more than anything else is teaching too much. Okay, on the webinar, you're going to teach them the what and not the how. So what they should be doing, but they're going to buy the how. People are going to buy with their emotions and justify with the logic. So they need to have enough logic there, but what's really going to cause them to take action is the emotion that you give them. Here are my top 3 secrets to building a 6-figure webinar. See, over the past few months, I scaled my online marketing agency to over $150,000 in just a few months. And if you think that's cool, just wait till you see what we do over the next 6 months now that I've learned what I'm about to tell you. I've done over 52 webinars in the past 4 or 5 months, and that's at a pace of about average 3 to 4 per week. And I've learned a lot, right? And I'm not some like genius marketer. I've just put in the reps and I've learned a lot through my journey. And I want to share those tips with you. So hopefully you can get to 6 figures a lot faster than I did because you're not going to have to go through all the learning curve that I had to go through. Hey, real quick, before I get into the meat of this subject, do me a favor, just like or comment or subscribe. Those types of signals mean a lot to me. It's free for you. It takes literally no time and it goes a long way to support me. So please like, subscribe, or comment. Give me something on this video if you find this stuff valuable. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to hear more from you. If you are a complete beginner, let's just back up for a second. Like, why would you want to do a webinar? Well, the typical way to sell something online is you run ads, someone clicks on the ad, they book a call, and then you sell them something, right? That's what we all know and are familiar with. Now, webinar is cool because instead of selling one-to-one, you now have the opportunity to sell one-to-many. So let's say you get 8 sales calls and 50% of them show up in one day. So that means you have one full day to get 4 people on a sales pitch. Now, compare that to a webinar, where a webinar takes 1 hour of my time and I can get 50, 60, 100, 200 people on one webinar, and now I can sell all of them instead of having to do one-to-one. So it's much, much more efficient. And it's a great way to actually scale your business. And I'm going to show you some of the things that really made a big difference for me. The problem with this traditional method was, first of all, they were not pre-framed properly because they don't know who you are, right? They just clicked an ad and now they're signing up. Also, you're dealing with people that are getting free consultations or free sales appointments. Now, that's okay, but wouldn't it be cool if you only were able to speak to buyers, right? Wouldn't that be cool? And also you're dealing with show-up rates, low show-up rates, because they just click some ad. Now they're not really involved. They don't have skin in the game to actually show up on those sales calls. Now, webinar solves all those problems, and you have a much higher conversion rate, much higher show rate, and it's much more efficient with your time to do it. So let me explain how this works. Instead of doing a Facebook ad to a sales appointment to a sale, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run Facebook ads for a webinar. And on that webinar, I'm going to build rapport. I'm going to pre-frame them. I'm going to give them some value. And then I'm going to get them on some kind of introductory offer, typically $97 per month or $297 per month. After that, included in that offer is they get like a one-on-one onboarding with me, which is basically just an opportunity to upsell them into some of my other higher ticket packages. So now what happens is, 1, I'm only getting on sales calls with actual buyers, people that have given me money. As a principal nowadays, I don't get on sales calls unless somebody's already given me some amount of money, so I know that they're actually serious. The second thing is that the show rates went up to nearly 100% because now they paid for that onboarding call, which is an upsell opportunity. So it's a 100% show rate on those appointments. And lastly, they are not cold. They've already spent an hour with me. They've already bought into something. So they've already been pre-framed. We've already built rapport, and the sale is going to be much, much easier. So that system of Facebook ad to webinar to introductory sale to upsell changed everything for me. You see, before I did this, I was really, really struggling to get sales for my marketing agency. And I just was grinding, and I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. And so one day I just decided that I was going to try to do a webinar and do one-to-many sales instead of just having to do, one-to-one sales all day long, right? In my first webinar, I actually got 16 sales at $97 per month. And that was kind of like a light bulb moment. I'm like, there's something to this. I want to give you three things, three little gems, three little diamonds that you can take to the bank that's going to help you cut your learning curve, in half, because I had to figure all these things out for myself. And I want you to be able to figure these things out like right off the bat. So the first thing I'm going to show you about is called the stack and the close. All right. The second thing I'm going to tell you about is how to increase engagement on your webinars using personalized call outs. And the last thing is I'm going to show you this framework called the what, not the how. Okay. So the three things I'm going to show you. The first thing is called the stack and the close. Stack and the close. The first time I saw this, it just blew my mind. I watched a webinar with Russell Brunson, and he just did this amazing way of describing the offer that built so much anticipation. And it just kept it was so overwhelming the way that he described how much value that he was going to be giving with us. And it helped me understand the offer that he was presenting really, really clearly. And I discovered later that what he was doing was something called the stack and the close. And I just had to figure out what this thing was. So the stack and the close is this. So typically when somebody's going to give their offer, they got let's say you have 5 different things included in your offer. It could be a course, it could be a strategy call, it could be group coaching, it could be a template, it could be a website, it could be a service, right? And all these different things. And so the typical way that people are going to provide this offer is they're going to tell you okay, the one most valuable thing, and then they're going to go on and naming all the different bonuses that they get in the package. And by the time they get to bonus number 15 or 16, that's typically the least valuable thing in the entire stack, but then that's when they drop the price. So they give the most valuable thing, they give all these different little bonuses, and then they give the price at the end. And the way that the human psychology works is people are going to associate the price with the very last thing that you showed them. So they're associating the price of your entire package with the very last bonus that you presented to them. And that can be problematic because, they're not really remembering the entire value of the entire stack that you're providing for them. So this method helps to combat that and helps to really relay the value of your offer. So it's something called the stack and the close. And the way this works is this. Let's say there's 5 things in your offer, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce the first item in my stack and my offer, and I'm going to explain it. And then I'm going to introduce the second thing, and I'm going to explain it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to recap and recap the first thing and the second thing. Okay. And then I'm going to show the third thing, explain it. And then I'm going to recap the entire stack. So the first thing, the second thing, and the third thing. And then I'm going to introduce the fourth thing. And then I'm going to explain it. And then I'm going to go back and I'm explaining the entire offer. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. And I just keep going like that until I describe my entire offer. And this may seem kind of awkward at first, but you get used to it the more you do it and it seems more natural. But the way this works is just like this. It's like you get this great item number 1. It has this, this, and this. And it has a course and it's going to get you this great result. And then you're going to get item number 2, which is this group coaching. So to recap, you're going to get item number 1, which is the course, and item number 2, which is group coaching. But on top of that, you're going to get item number 3, which is a website. So just to recap, you're going to get the course, you're going to get group coaching, you're going to get the website, okay? And on top of that, you're going to get item number 4, which is a one-on-one strategy call, right? So that means you're going to get the course, you're going to get the group coaching, you're going to get the whatever. See what I'm saying? So you keep stacking the offer and then the value keeps building along the way. You kind of have a little counter of how much the value everything is. And so by the time you get to the end, you have something that's worth about $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, whatever it is. But then you're going to cut that price and provide the actual special webinar price that you're presenting that day. Does that make sense? Okay, that's called the stack and the close. And when you do it like that, right, where you keep reiterating the offer and over again, people have short memories, right? So it really helps to relay the value of the offer that you're presenting, okay? That's my first secret for you. That's called the stack and close. The second thing is made a huge difference in my webinars. And the biggest thing this is going to help with is your retention rate, okay? Retention rate, building rapport, and building trust. That's what it's going to help you with. And it's called personalized callouts. So think about this for a second. Your viewers could have just watched a YouTube video and gotten the same information, right? Probably the same information exists out there on the internet someplace on some YouTube video. So why are they watching a live webinar instead of watching a YouTube video? Because a live webinar provides an aspect of engagement, and it provides personalization, and it's just much more interactive, right? More engaging, more interactive, more personal. So you have to play up those features if you want to have a successful webinar. So for example, a couple of things that I do that make this really, really powerful. The first thing I do is while we're getting the webinar rolling, so before we actually start, I'm actually pulling up a Google Doc and I'm sharing my screen and I'm asking for information from people in the chat that I'm going to then copy and paste onto that Google Doc so that everybody can see. Here's how this works. I will ask people, hey guys, put in the chat where you're from and what kind of business you have, right? And people start putting in the chat, I'm from Louisiana and I have a lawn care business. Okay, great. Jane is from Louisiana, has a lawn care business. I copy that, paste it in the Google Doc. Who else? Oh, I live in, New York and I have a Botox business. Awesome. I copy that New York Botox business and I put it in the Google. So now they're seeing their name, their location, and their business in the actual Google Doc, right? And so what this is doing is it's encouraging interaction. People want to see their name on the screen someplace. People want to test if it's actually live or is this like some kind of pre-recorded fake live thing, right? So, and what that does is it kind of creates buy-in. When they are engaged, like in general, in sales and communications, you don't ever want to be a one-way highway. You want to get into exchange with these people. You want to be playing a tennis match with these people. Whenever possible, I want to get into an exchange. I don't want to just be spewing information at that person. So any way that I can get these people to actually interact with me and reply to me and, be engaged and interactive in the chat, not only is it going to boost my retention, but that's actually going to boost my sales as well, because for some reason, it helps to build trust and build rapport as well. So having these personalized call outs, having little sections where you can ask for feedback or input or suggestions from the audience, and then incorporating that into your presentation somehow, that's going to make a huge difference. Because remember, they could have been watching a YouTube video, but instead they're live with you in this webinar. So how can you make this an experience instead of just a YouTube style video? That makes sense? All right. The last thing is one that's very, very important. So as coaches, as teachers, as educators, as whatever you are, right? One of the biggest things that's going to kill your sales more than anything else is teaching too much. Okay. And you may have experiences with your social media profiles. And it's like when you start to teach too much on your social media, then nobody ever watches. But if you talk about how much money you made or how exciting something is or some big, award that you won or whatever it is, then people are going to be really excited for you. But when I start telling them like exactly step by step how you did that, kind of like their eyes glaze over and they're not really interested, right? Another great example of this is I remember I was going through teaching these webinars, giving out so much information. I would even do this presentation live, and I just was giving the most important and crucial information that could literally change these people's lives. And they just weren't getting, they weren't caring really. And so one day I just got fed up. I got so frustrated and I just slammed my hand on the desk. I said, don't you guys get it? Don't you get it? I read every single book. I watched every single course and training. I've spent millions of dollars on Facebook ads, and I'm coming here to give you guys the few gems, the few little tidbits of information that can change your entire lives. But you guys don't really seem like you're interested. Do you want this information or not? And as I said that, everybody's eyes just kind of opened up and they sat up straight in their desk. At that moment, it became clear that if you don't communicate with somebody how you learned something or how you earned something, then they're not going to really appreciate what it is that you're trying to tell them, okay? And so you don't want to teach too much, but what you want to do is tell them the what and not the how, okay? On the webinar, you're going to teach them the what and not the how, so what they should be doing. But they're going to buy the how, right? You want to give all the information for free, but then the implementation tactics, you're going to sell. When you start to give too much implementation tactics on a sales call, then people they kind of just turn off and their left brain goes on and the right brain goes off, right? The emotional brain goes off and the logical brain goes on. We want to keep the emotional brain as high as possible. That's what's actually going to create sales is emotion. And if you're too cold and calculated and technical and tactical in your sales presentations, then the emotion's gone and, people are going to buy with their emotions and justify with the logic. So they need to have enough logic there, but what's really going to cause them to take action is the emotion that you give them. So you have to make it emotional. And one of the best ways to not do that, the best ways to kill emotion is to get too logical. So you want to teach them the what and not the how, and you really want to explain to them how you learned or earned something before you get into it, right? You can tell a story, just like I'm doing on this webinar. If you go back, each one of these 3 things, I'm telling you a little story as to why it's valuable. You guys getting this? I guess, right? I've been doing this for a minute now. Okay, so to recap, guys, the 3 things, I have the 3 tips I have for you for scaling a 6-figure to 6 figures and beyond using webinars. Number 1 is something called the stack and the close, right? It's how you can convey a high value offer so that people can conceptualize and grab onto that value, the stack and the close. The second thing I talked to you about is personalized callouts, how to make your webinars more engaging and interactive using personalized callouts. And lastly, I showed you guys how to create a more engaging presentation by keeping the emotion high and the logic low by teaching the what, not the how. Show the what, not the how. You're going to sell the how later, okay? And then make sure that you are explaining how you learned or earned something before you get into talking about it, okay? I hope this is super helpful. If you guys take this and run with it, you're going to make much more money a lot faster than I did because I had to figure all this stuff out for myself. If you found this valuable, please just like the video. It doesn't cost you anything. It means a lot to me. A like or a comment on the video, it really means a lot to me. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you around.